We have Kevin. He's
From
got
ourselves.
a two-parter here. He's a bit confused on the first part. He's like, should the length of the kilt, should it be at the mid-knee, above, or just below? And he's also asking for a formal kilt. Can you use a box pleat, or should you just stick to knife pleats?
The length of a kilt. There's an old adage: if you wear the kilt above the knee, you're a boy. To the knee, you're a man. But no, below the knee, you're a liar. Sorry, that was a joke and no one laughed. Huh?
I like it.
Traditionally, there's kind of a range. Below the knee is kind of right out for the most part. Generally, the range is middle of the knee to top of the knee. Traditionally, it was even worn above the knee a little bit, about an inch above the knee.
Yeah.
You want to see your knees when you're wearing a kilt. You want some separation between the bottom of the kilt and the top of your kilt hose. So, yeah, I'd say middle of the knee to top of the knee.
Yeah, middle of the knee is standard now. Fashion up until the last 40 years, I'd say, 40, 50 years. It was above the knee, and that goes back to military tradition especially. The heavier and scratchier the wool was, the less you wanted it rubbing against the back of, right behind your kneecap where you got that soft flesh there. And there are anecdotes of guys getting basically scratch marks and abrasions from the bottom of their kilt when it got wet. You're talking really scratchy, military grade wool, of course. But as that became less of a problem and aesthetics changed over the 20th century, the kilt became a little bit longer. So middle of the kneecap is pretty standard. Above the knee is still fine. We often have guys who are not comfortable having it above the knee. As we've said before, above the knee or below the knee will, to the modern eye, look a little more effeminate. So most guys want to go to about the middle of the knee. That seems to be the best middle ground and just, shapes out things nicely. So, yeah, and as far as the knife pleat versus box pleat, no. Go with it, whichever one you like best. Doesn't matter.
There's no a knife pleated kilt is much, much more common. A box pleated kilt is done. It is nowhere near as common. I'd say 98% of kilts are probably knife pleated kilts. There's the reverse Canusi, or Canusi, whatever.
I think it's Canusi, yeah.
Yeah. Or the Canusi or reverse Canusi, where it's actually, the pleats go either center back, wrapping around towards the front, or they come around the front and meet at the center and the back. That's like a utility style, or utility kilts has that actual pleating style. So there's a few different ways to pleat things, but for the most part, for speed, for consistency, most kilt makers just do a standard knife pleat.
I will say you will get more of a swish effect with a knife pleat than with a box pleat. So if you want to look really impressive when you're in motion at a formal event, like if you're marching down the aisle at the wedding or something else, or you're dancing or something, you just want that whoosh, whoosh, whoosh effect. You'll get that with a knife pleat. You will not get it so much with a box pleat. So that might be one consideration.
Is it the amount of fabric?
I think it is.
In the box pleat. Generally, a box pleat has about 4 yards of cloth, where a traditional knife pleated kilt has about 8 yards of cloth. Now, if it was a military box pleat, you can get it the same amount of
swish.
I
don't think it moves the same way,
but
though.
It doesn't move because, what I was about to say was the pleats kind of stack back up on themselves.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit more difficult for them to move.
Yeah.
It's also in the swing of the hips, as it were.
Right.
As you're walking as well.
Right. You gotta get your disco walk going.
Yep. Got the confident strut.
Yeah.
Of the kilt wearer.
People do. When you wear a kilt, you do tend to strut more. You tend to walk more confidently.
Well, especially when you look this good.
There's that.
Yeah.
There's that. Man a kilt is a man and a half. Is that how it goes?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.